Are you done with Central Lit?
We don't have anybody to speak.
Okay,
Oh, that's sad.
all right, we've 5 of 7 tonight. Jolene, you wanna lead us in the pledge of allegiance?
Sure. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. All right, nobody here for open forum tonight. And take a motion to approve the agenda.
Mr. President, make a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Thanks, Deb.
I second.
Thanks, Jolene. All in favor? 5-0. So all the reports got loaded up. Hopefully you had time to look through those. Definitely appreciate that. And, again, know how busy you guys are, with starting the school. So not just the administration, but all the different directors. Appreciate you guys taking time to put those together and get them in there. And then would take a moment to approve the consent agenda.
Mr. President, I make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Thank you, Ryan. Thanks, Jake. All in favor? 5-0. We have, is online. Bruce, hop on now.
Not yet.
All right. That skips over 7 and right to Jessica. Looky there.
Good evening from Transportation. I'm Jessica Gleaves, your Transportation Director. First, I want to say thank you for your time. Your time is valuable, so I want to do my best to make sure what I have to say is worth your time. So my presentation has 3 parts to it. First, I will start by discussing some facts about the safety of the school bus. Second, I will give you an overview of the Transportation Department, including taking a look at the handout that was passed around. Third, then finally, an insider look into how we make it all work. So the school bus is the safest vehicle on the road compared to traveling by car. This is data, according to data from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. They also state that students are 70 times more likely to make it to school safely than if they were traveling by car. That's for 5 reasons. Number 1, the school bus is yellow. That is by design because the human brain recognizes the color yellow 1.24 times faster than any other color, even at night. And also, if a person is driving around who's colorblind, they can still see that color yellow.
Interesting.
Second reason, the training and safety skills and expertise of my bus drivers. Third, school buses are the most regulated vehicle on the road. Fourth, and this is really important, the design of the school bus itself. So on the inside, it's called compartmentalization, and the design of the bus seat. It's why it's so important for the student to sit correctly in the seat facing forward. And if they do so, it provides like an envelope of safety is what they call it. In the event of a crash, they are most protected if they are within that seat. The space of the seat is designed for less injuries in the event of a crash. The high padded seats are energy absorbing, and it all is designed to protect children in the event of a crash. Also, on the outside of the bus, there are 3 black lines. They're rub rails, and they provide extra reinforcement for the bus in the event of a side impact crash or if that bus were to topple over. So all of that is designed to help our children in the event of a crash. And then finally, the fifth reason, we are visible on the roads. We have flashing amber lights, we have flashing red lights, we have a strobe light, large mirrors, and the stop arm laws. They're all in place to, and that one's actually in place to prevent crashes from happening in the first place. Now I'd like to give you an overview of bus usage and day-to-day operations. So if you'll, if I could direct your attention to the handout that was passed around. So we transport 478 route students and an additional 300 shuttle students. We have 20 school buses. We have 1 activity bus, 2 district cars, 4 district vans, and 1 SUV. So now I want to compare data from this last school year from the year before. So during the school year of 2023 and 2024, our school buses drove a total of 175,785 miles driven over the course of the school year for all of our buses combined. For our 12 routes, we drove 131,584 over the course of the school year. 44,201 miles were on activities, and we drove for 636 activities. Cars, vans, and SUV drove for a total of 41,646 miles for a total of 396 number of activities. Now we'll compare to the year before, the 2022-2023 school year. Our school buses drove a total of 174,272 miles, comparable to last school year, only a difference of 1,513 miles. 131,466 miles were on routes. 42,806 were spent on 592 activities. The cars and vans for the year before drove 23,196. That was the biggest increase, a 44% increase from that year to this last school year. That's because we had a number of additional shuttles, a number of additional activities, and it all adds up. So, and that was a difference of 18,450 miles. So that gives you a little bit of a snapshot of our bus and district vehicle usage. So our transportation motto is safety first, always. Every decision I make as director and every decision my bus drivers make while they're on the road transporting life's most precious cargo, it's built around, centers around safety. I tell them all the time that if we can't get the safety piece right, that nothing else we do matters. It's crucial that we operate in a safe way all the time. And I'm very happy to report that we met our goal last school year with 0 accidents. Yes.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And that will be our goal this school year as well. So the Kansas Highway Patrol state inspections occurred July 30th. And our mechanic, Renzi Poe, did a very good job getting all of our fleet ready. Our cars, district cars, vans, SUV, our special education, co-op cars, they all passed. And our bus fleet passed, except for bus 2. Bus 2 is our spare mini special ed bus. And it just has some structural rust issues that the Highway Patrol said it's just not safe for student transportation, bottom line. And so that's why I respectfully asked for your approval to dispose of bus 2. And we still have a backup for our special education routes. If one should break down on route, we have bus 12, which is just a little bit bigger than a mini special ed bus. And it's what we were using last year for preschool field trips. And it will be our backup now that we can send bus two down the road to the south. Has it been approved?
No. Oh,
No.
yes, yes.
Oh,
yeah,
okay,
yeah.
okay. I didn't wanna
Yes.
Yeah,
get
yeah.
ahead of you guys. Okay, thank you then for your approval of the disposal of bus two. We will work this week on stripping it of any parts that we could possibly use for our other buses, and then get it on down the road to the salvage yard. Different scenery for it. It'll be good for it. Okay, so we have 12 bus routes that by state law, they must be prioritized over activities or any other thing, no matter what. They must be completed when school is in session. We have, within those 12 bus routes, 9 of those are big bus routes. And they run morning and afternoon. And 3 special education mini bus routes, they run 3 times a day, morning, noon, and afternoon. Personnel wise, the transportation department is in a good position starting the school year. We have 12 full-time route bus drivers and an additional 6 substitute bus drivers. So we're in a good position going in. My bus drivers are trained to complete a pre-trip safety inspection prior to every route and activity. Any deficiencies that are found, then our mechanic will provide maintenance and repairs to get it back on the road. We have a mandatory daily huddle meeting every morning directly after route. This is a short meeting, but it is so productive. This is where it promotes team camaraderie amongst the bus drivers, and it allows me to provide transparency as I make announcements. That's when we go over the schedule for the day. That's where everybody knows what they're driving, what everybody's doing. I assign activities in that meeting, and then it also gives bus drivers a chance to give me feedback or discuss issues. I conduct mandatory safety meetings at least once per month. Topics are various topics, safety related issues, and I try to gear it toward what the bus drivers are most concerned of that month or what they're dealing with, whether it's student management behaviors or winter weather driving skills, or Officer Coleman does a training for us for active shooter training. If someone were to compromise the bus, what would we do? All of those things, we're going to have, those are just examples of the kinds of things that we offer our bus drivers and that they're trained to do, and what to do in an emergency. So we also do evacuation drills that are required by Kansas Department of Education. We do 2 per school year, 1 in the fall and 1 in the spring. Very important so that students know where the emergency exits are and how to evacuate quickly and safely in the event of an emergency. Also, in addition to that, we have a safety briefing that all bus drivers complete prior to any activity. And that will tell the players or whoever's riding the bus where the emergency exits are, the coaches, teachers, and then that way they know what to do in an emergency. The best way that I can illustrate with a very good example of why the safety is so important, the evacuation drills are so important, and the safety briefing is what happened with Marion USD 408 school district. And that happened exactly 1 year ago today at 12:45. The bus driver was driving the football team from the Kansas Wesleyan football camp. And on the interstate 135, he noticed that the bus started overheating and there was smoke starting to come into the cabin. And he quickly pulled over. He was able to evacuate all 29 players and coaches and himself and get far enough away before the bus engulfed in flames. And their superintendent credited the bus driver with saving lives that day because of that safety briefing that he did prior to the activity. And they all knew what to do to get out of that bus. So that's my best example of, to illustrate why it's so important that we do those things. So we discussed the safety of the design of the school bus, an overview of the usage of the buses and district vehicles, and day-to-day operations of how we make it all work. The transportation department is very excited to transport students of USD 320 for another exciting, safe, and successful school year. Do you have any questions for me?
I do.
Okay,
I've got three things for you,
okay,
and I know you're not prepared, and I
Oh, no.
don't expect an answer
okay,
on some of them.
okay.
Could you, on your, director report,
Yes,
could you just add a blurb on what you budgeted for fuel and then what, we've used? So
Oh,
I'm
sure.
sure your fiscal year is, just like ours, restarting in June,
Mhm.
or July, I'm sorry, to June. But I have concerns. We're going into an election year, no
Right.
telling what's gonna change.
Sure.
And if we can kind of track and we get to December, we're like, oh man, we're already at 75% of what we
Mhm.
used for budget or whatever. But I would like to see that.
Sure,
Um,
I can do that.
the other thing that I don't need an answer on is I have realized that in Pottawatomie County, sometimes the squeaky wheel gets the grease.
Okay,
And I would love nothing more than bus drivers, or you relaying to me every day when our bus drivers complain about how dusty our gravel roads are.
okay.
Because I will be calling until specifically Elm
That'd be
Street Road
awesome.
gets fixed. So, we've had too
I'll
many
team
near,
up with you.
yeah, we've had too many near misses and we kind of got some traction and got something on the ballot and it didn't go away, but I'm ready for something to happen because there's a lot of our gravel roads are issues. So
Okay,
if you can send me a note, you can send me a text,
I will
whatever.
do that, yes.
But I know the county is getting better with treating them with that lime or whatever they put on it. But I don't go all the gravel roads like your bus drivers do.
And it's a big issue.
Yeah, and I'm ready to be that squeaky wheel to help us out to get some better maintenance out there.
Awesome.
And
Use it
then
to my
the-
ears.
The third thing, and it seems like it changes, and I don't have a lot of clarity. Are we utilizing, is there power out there for engine block heaters in the wintertime on our buses? And are we
Engine-
using them? Is it functionable?
Like
Because it
to
seems
plug
like
in-
sometimes
plug
we
in
have
school
some.
buses.
Yes, we always plug in the school buses.
Okay, and so
Yes,
that's,
we have that.
it's not a maintenance issue or whatever, they're all working.
They're all working.
Great,
They work wonderful.
good deal,
Mhm.
good deal. Yeah, it'd been a while since I heard, but I know sometimes when it just gets really, really cold.
Yes.
We worry more about the fuel
Yes,
than either.
right.
The
Okay.
fuel gel.
Right,
Use
right.
the right mix, but when it was 125 below wind chill, you don't know how good your mix is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we were successful in preventing any gelling when all surrounding school districts did have that issue.
I
We
will
were the
also
only
tell you,
district that did not.
Nice.
Mhm.
Way to
I'll
go.
say
Thank you.
Jess is usually there 4:30 in the morning in the winter.
In the winter, I am there
She
at 4 in
starts
the
every
morning.
bus.
Yes, I start all the buses, make sure they all start, make sure
Wow.
they're ready to go. And then if they're not, then I can have some time to scramble and make it work.
Wow.
Babies are bus drivers. But for me, if I'm not driving roads and making a decision, and she has 5 buses that won't start, that makes, I'll just say yes. And
Mhm,
so,
mhm.
that could play into it as well. So
Sure.
we're not telling her that she has to do that, but she does that, and,
Mhm.
I appreciate it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
You have some estimates on how many total students you'll be transporting every day?
Every day. Well, we transport,
Almost 800, wasn't it?
Was it 4?
we transport
478.
478 route students,
Okay.
Yeah,
most every day,
77.
and then an additional 300 shuttle
It's
students.
the shuttle
Yes,
during the day.
from school to school.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
When you look at our total enrollment.
Oh, well, that's well over half.
Mhm. Yeah.
Well, Yeah, cause is that pre-K included? Probably,
Yes.
so it's not quite half, but yeah, but it's more kids.
Mhm.
Yeah, and I can't speak for everyone, but I got the phone call, very professional, when, when they're gonna be there.
Awesome.
Everything, so that has started, that, I was a little bit worried. I'm sure there was a lot of parents, but, yeah, no, I got the phone call, I hope everybody has probably got, have you got a report back that everybody's been contacted on when their pickup time's gonna be?
Yes, if they haven't been contacted, they were late to enroll
Right.
and didn't make it on the list yet, but I took the information and got them on the route. They've got the call now.
No, I've been really happy with the transportation department.
Awesome.
So.
Thank
that's
you.
Great. Tell your people, thank you for what they do, because you hit the nail on the head. It's pretty, nobody in here's got a job or doing what we're doing if we can't figure out how to get our kids safely
That's
around,
right.
so.
That's right.
No, I appreciate it. Anything else?
Any other
Anybody
questions?
else? All right.
All right.
No, thanks,
Thank
Jessica.
you.
I
It is
appreciate
an
your time.
honor to work
Thank
for you as your transportation director. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thank you. Great information. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, Bruce, good evening. I just wanted to let you know, Bruce, if we get to a voting item, you gotta speak up because our projector's not working and I can't see, okay?
Okay,
Thanks,
can't get-
Bruce.
I can't get my laptop to connect either, so I'm on my phone.
Okay, that's fine. Yep, if we get to a voting item or you wanna pop in for anything, by all means, just pop right in.
Sounds good, man.
Thank you, sir. This has been covered a little bit. I don't know if, in case anybody has a question. But with, the meal prices, just for adults, not with the kids. So this would be faculty in the school districts, or if, parents wanted to show up and eat meals with their kids or whatever. But the recommendation is gonna be $2.40 per adult meal for breakfast and $4.90 for lunch. And I don't know if anybody has any questions or we need to talk about it, otherwise I would go with the recommendation and take a motion to approve that.
Mr. President, I make a motion to approve the adult meal prices as presented.
I'll
Yeah.
second it.
Okay, Bruce, there you go.
It is on.
Get your money out of you there, Bruce. All in favor?
Aye.
Yeah, all right, 6-0, thank you.
Yeah.
You wanna talk a little bit about the buildings needs assessment?
Yeah, and not a ton about that because we talked about it in July and talked about it in June, just the fact that we have to reference this next month when we pass the budget. And so I think it helps our case if we do have people that question that. Did we use this document? Did we go over the state assessments? We did that in June. We've referenced to some of the ways that we think we can continue to move those in that good direction. And use those as part of our budget building, process. So really, this just takes that last part, which is the state assessment review. And, says that this is the part that we're going to, pass. And so, I included it I didn't have it on here, but you guys have seen it several times. And, this is the one where it can go, I think, on the website.
All right, so I would, unless there's any questions from anybody, take a motion to approve the buildings needs assessment for the 24-25 school year.
Mr. President, I make a motion to approve the 2024-2025 building needs assessments as agreed upon.
Second.
And thank you, Jolie and Ryan. All in favor?
Yes.
6-0, thank you. All right, pursuing childcare for 25-26, so not this school year, but the next school year.
And this is, Scott's here, so he gets to at least hear or answer any questions that you might have. But this is something that I talked just a little bit about in my superintendent's report. Saying, hey, we really need to think about what we're willing to, put a little skin in the game, financially along those lines. And so Scott might just tell us a little bit about where we are in the process and what we know, and then we'll have you guys kind of weigh in on some of your thoughts.
So Terry Dow had been trying to get a daycare, other preschool going for a lot of years. And there were several meetings, several people, I think a couple of board members were even on you were on it too.
Yeah.
And we could never make headway. And So Rob and I've talked, like, I don't want to keep wasting people's time at meetings and planning and meetings and talking. Unless we're actually like, okay, let's do something with this or not. I mean, and so that's why we wanted to visit with you guys about where do you see us going? Our staff, there's a need for childcare. For our staff, districts across the state are doing something like this. And then on top of that, I had originally thought, well, let's start with the daycare. Let's start with something small and then we'll add in the preschool. And then I was talking with somebody last week that they have experience doing this in schools or in general. And they said, really, you've got to have the preschool be a part of it because that's how, that's where really the money comes from to support it. Childcare providers don't make money with infants and things because it's such a low ratio of infants to adults. They make their money at the preschool part, and that's kind of how it all balances out. So that was another, I have no idea how to start a daycare. I have no idea how to do any of that kind of stuff. I don't, and I've told people that, but we need to do this for our staff, and it could also be expanded. So next week we have a meeting. I have a meeting with Aaron Tynan, Jessa Thompson, or no?
Thompson.
Yes, Boos or Tom.
Oh, Peterson.
Peterson, yeah.
One of the sons.
Yeah, one of the sons. And there's several others. Brian from Wamego Healthcare, he's gonna be there. Because there could be a possibility that we could partner with the hospital. There's some other districts that are doing that, partnering with other entities. If the hospital wasn't interested, I don't know if the city would be interested or we do something on our own. I don't know. But we either need to tackle it or we need to just, not do anything with it. So that's where I'm at.
Terry hand over her file.
Yeah, there's tons of stuff. And I asked Nancy Burton with BBN.
Yeah, Nancy.
I asked her, but I was afraid she's gonna be like, no, I've been on this thing for like 16 years and I'm not doing it, but
Yeah.
she said she wanted to because there's a need. The Riley County licensing from KDHE, they serve Pot County. Anna Isern, she's gonna be a part of the group as well as her boss at the licensing department or in that licensing area. They're gonna be a part of it. We'll have Nancy Burton. The other part is, a lot of this, my goal is to have most of it paid for by grants so that we're not having to put a lot of money in. I would love, I hate to say it out loud, but I would love for someday for it not even have to cost our employees money. Like that could be a true thing, but I don't know if we can ever get to that point or not, but I would love for that to, at least if not a reduced price for our employees. So we're gonna have to have a grant writer, because I can write a small grant for $90,000, but this is gonna take hundreds of thousands of dollars and multiple grants. So we're gonna need a grant writer who knows exactly what to do with this. I would see that would be where the initial amount of money is gonna come from. I have a meeting on a Tuesday with a couple grant writers from Greenbush, just to kind of see how this would. How this would play
I wasn't
out.
talking to you, Scott.
The last time we used a Greenbush was a couple of months ago, and we just paid them a flat fee to help us write the grant. Could be that way, that we pay them that, or, because they're not gonna do it for free. They're not gonna come to the meetings for free. And so we might have to pay them, like pay them $3,000 and then they take money out of that as part of, as
Grant.
yeah, so I don't know. I don't know how it all works. That's where we're at with it. I just spewed a lot of stuff.
So is the first step like to form a committee, or does that already form?
We're gonna meet next Wednesday, with some of those, I think I mentioned pretty much everybody that.
And then figure out what else you need, or who else you need.
Yeah, we gotta have the right people in the room. but I want the go-ahead from you guys, because I don't want to get there and like, okay, let's talk and then we'll, you know, like, I want to move.
Mhm. Do you have your best like model right now? And I'm trying to remember Corey, you know, formerly when I was on the board, they went down to Coffeyville. Now Coffeyville had corporate, like they had a big employer and they had money that way. At that time, you know, we were trying to figure that part out, the finance side of it. But you said, you know, other places are doing this. Do you guys kind of have one that you could?
I have 3 contacts that I personally have.
Yeah.
Holton is one that has recently just started one up in the last couple of years. Ulysses, my former district, they just started a childcare. Hugoton, the school that I graduated from, and I know these are in Southwest Kansas, but,
Yeah, Holton's right over here.
well, yeah, okay,
Yeah,
Ulysses and
Holton.
Hugoton are
Yeah,
in
so this
Southwest
is,
Kansas.
yeah.
They are starting the daycare this year, like they're doing it right now, so.
Yeah.
Um,
And those are all similar sized communities,
Mhm.
which matters too.
Yeah.
Because. Well, I'm excited for something to actually like,
yeah, like, come on, let's go,
yeah,
we're gonna do
Yeah.
this,
you know,
But
I'm not
whether
speaking
you're
for the
telling
whole
us or
board,
not.
I'm just.
yeah.
Well, so I think to try and put the bottom line up front, there's going to be a cost associated with as we go through. And so I think is what we owe the district as a board is like, okay, what are we gonna underwrite? To do this, and we need to underwrite something, whether, for lack of a better terms, it succeeds or fails. So what are we willing to wager to get this group going to say, hey, we are gonna underwrite X amount of dollars, and then probably have touch points with the committee that says, you know what, we've put 25 grand at this, and it's just not gonna work, so let's stop, because I don't think anybody here is ready to sign a, you know, $250,000 pay check to say, hey, let's get this going without having touch points on the way. I guess the question would be is, you know, what would the ask be for the board to underwrite in the beginning to really get this going? Knowing that we don't have any grants in place, but we're looking at basically the check account and saying, okay, what can we throw at this, to really get it going, to say, hey, USD 320 is bought into this, and this is what we want to do. Because I think the hospital, the city, the other, you know, potentially WTC is a big employer. There's a bunch of big employers in Wamego. I think they're kind of waiting for somebody to say, yes, we want this to go.
Yeah.
And we could be the leader in that. But I think right now where we're at is, I think everybody would probably, you know, again, one of 7, I think everybody would be on board. I don't think anybody's ever brought the ask to the board on what it's gonna take.
The only thing that I see really is paying for that grant writing. That's gonna be the key right now. And it's, and I don't think we need to pay like, I would think $2,000 or $3,000 and see where it goes from there. And then I mean, if it's gonna be more than that, then I would come back and talk with you guys some more about it, but.
I would go up to 10 on that grant writer.
Okay.
I mean, I just think you're gonna run into that 5% category. You're gonna have to have a grant of total, probably 250,000.
Yeah, it's gonna be,
5% of it.
Yeah.
yeah, it's gonna be a,
So
And
that's
we gotta-
12.5. 5%
and we gotta have a-
12.5. Yeah.
Mhm.
yeah, and we've gotta find the grants, you know, there are things out there that are available. But some grants you can only do construction, some grants you can't do any construction, you know,
Yeah.
it's gonna take several things putting them
Do you know
together.
if Holton went the grant writing route or did they have?
I'll have to ask.
Okay.
I feel like Holton is the one where I got the idea about the hospital, but I don't know for sure. Carla Tanking, who's the same person in my position there at Holton, she kind of got started, so I would talk to her and have her help us do that too.
Yeah.
So, and if one of you guys want to be on that, I would, you know, I haven't talked to Mr. McKim about that, but
Yeah, oh yeah, well, and so there's a couple things that some of the schools, I know Coffeyville had space, we don't have space, so we'll have to find space, so that's also there's a cost to space, and so we may have to look at that.
Mhm.
Right now, Highland, has a building C, I think it is, that they're wanting to lease out within the next couple of years, sell. I went and looked at it a couple months ago with, they're going through a realtor. And, so that's a possibility now, but you know, who knows once if we get the grant, if that building would still be available or not, so.
We would love to be revenue neutral on this
Yes,
whole thing. That would be the
100%.
goal. Revenue neutral.
yeah,
Those are easy calls when it costs, you know, when it's benefiting our staff, it's good for our community, and it costs us nothing. I think we have to be prepared and all, in the meeting the other day, Mike said, hey, we want to make sure that WTA is also on board with this, because it could be money out of the general fund,
Mhm.
new money. And I'm glad you brought that up, because that's a really good point, to make sure they're on board with, gosh, this costs us $30,000 a year. Do we feel like it's worth it when we're talking about recruiting and retaining our staff? I've got a few families in mind right now that, one of which I saw at a kindergarten roundup, and not roundup, kinder camp, who said, I don't know if I'm crying tears of joy because it's my baby going to her first day of kindergarten, or because I'm saving $900.
yeah, that's the thing.
$900 a month
It's reality.
Yeah.
in childcare, and that's, I about swallowed my gum right there, because
Yeah.
never had to pay childcare, and wow.
All of us in here that have children, that first day they start school, it's like, what are you gonna do with all your money?
Yes, that's the thing. It is for us, it's all a peace and quiet.
And I love the idea of like, I've maybe been getting it like half price, because I think of myself, there's teachers that quit teaching and become stay-at-home moms, not because they want to, but because financially it makes the best sense for their
Yep.
family.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. to
We've got
say.
some great young teachers and
Yes.
coaches that are having their babies, and
Mhm.
at some point, it's gonna hit
So-
a spot for them where.
Yeah.
So even if they can't have it free, like the reduced rate
Reduced, yeah,
would probably keep them teaching.
yeah.
So.
And think about our classified staff too.
Yeah.
They also are, they struggle finding daycare too.
Mhm.
That's my vision, is to, I mean, I'd love to offer for free, but
Mhm.
at least reduced at the very
Absolutely.
least.
I like you.
So,
So you get to go up to what amount without talking to the board? 50,
20.
20?
You mean for this?
For anything, so
20,000.
there's nothing budgeted right now. Right, you can make a $20,000 decision
Without asking.
without asking.
For property, there's some exceptions to that, but I try not to make those big decisions. I'm not gonna lie.
Well, okay, so I guess the first question then is,
TV for the
because we're not
office.
gonna approve anything, I think this can be handled if we go that way, but the current members and Bruce, are you guys amenable to actually starting down the road of daycare and or pre-K?
yes,
Absolutely.
Yes,
Okay,
thank you guys. I'm excited
Absolutely.
about it. Makes me
yeah.
incredibly happy.
I think, and we'll see about how the committee works out and everything, if there's board representation on there or not. But I think we do need to ensure that as we're going through this, we are separating between a preschool and a daycare, by age limits because of funding, because of grants, and making sure we're tailoring to, again, there's gonna be money involved, and what is it, because I think that's a question that I throw at the WTA, like, what do you want? Do you want daycare or do you want preschool? And because it's gonna, unfortunately, like you brought up, if we've got a teacher with a 1-year-old, that ratio, depending at a daycare, might be 1-to-1 or 1-to-2. And we're only getting a couple of those in, so what, I think there's almost a needs assessment that needs done on what are we really in need of? And then the second part, you brought it up, was the facilities. I would be very interested to see, when it starts to affect Mr. Neal at the elementary school. I guess I can say this because how many of my kids have been in a non-USD 320 preschool, but there's some not so great ones out there. And I think that it would help out a lot is I would love to have the conversation, just start with, we don't have the facilities, we don't have anything. But what would it cost the school district to get the pre-K curriculum that we're gonna use, it's gonna pipe into Central Elementary to the hands of these other people? Because I would almost say, you know what? If it's 20 grand, let's get them the curriculum and we have a class or we have a night school or whatever. And because there's very good, capable, private civilians that would be more than willing to do that. And I think it would help out at the kindergarten level. And so that's what I do want to keep it separate, because I think there's some other things that we could potentially do. Because I know our preschool has a curriculum.
Yeah.
I don't think we're sharing that with anybody else right now. And what would be the cost if we were to share that per student?
And that falls right in line with kindergarten readiness, and that's one of the
Right.
state board outcomes.
Right.
Is, bringing everybody together, in curriculum, professional development, those kind of things. So,
Okay.
and I know Terry did some work. I think we also, and this is, I'm not saying this for any reason other than, I want Mr. Neal to know this won't fall under Mr. Neal's, like, he will just still be doing central, like, he's not gonna do
He's like,
that.
okay.
Oh, by the way. Yeah.
He's like, okay, you can go, you can move forward.
Because Terry was doing the best she can, but she was also still the principal of
Right.
the building though, and so it's hard to split that, so, but that'll all get, kind of brought out in the wash.
We'll try to, we may put that in some type of regular report back to the board as far as.
Yeah.
When they're having those meetings,
Yeah,
looping us in probably a little bit more.
yeah, for sure.
Are your meetings like gonna be open meetings or gonna close meetings like for just your committee? I mean, so I'd be more than happy to sit in on the meetings, come to them.
Yeah,
Like
you are more than welcome to. It's Wednesday at 10,
this Wednesday.
a week, August 21st.
During the day.
It's fine.
Okay.
We'll see. I'm not gonna guarantee, but yeah.
Yep, so
You got a new job.
aren't they?
It's not, but I can make it.
Cut out whenever she wants.
No, not quite, not quite.
So, yeah, I mean, I'll, I can make it a Zoom too, so,
If anybody else wants to, just let us know.
yeah,
Much
I,
more flexibility in my old job.
whatever.
Let's
we
just
can
keep it
do
less
to-
than 4.
Well,
Yes.
yeah, that's a given.
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
Whatever we can do to
That'll be
move
my
it
day
forward.
off.
is good.
Okay.
So,
So I
Thank
think, yeah, I think we, although there's not a light at the end of the tunnel, I think the board is ready to start moving down that tunnel
awesome.
and get to a way to yes.
Yeah.
And I think it's gonna probably be some time, before, but I think we're, in my opinion, we're posturing ourselves correctly by saying pursuing childcare for 25, 26.
Mhm.
Like, it's not happening tomorrow.
Right,
But no, I like that.
awesome. Thank you all. That's gonna be
Scott.
great for our employees. So,
Good luck.
thanks, thank you.
Did anybody have any questions about the calculus, chemistry and physics? So we all received an email, that you sent us an
Yep,
email
yep,
on
yeah.
that. Have some new teachers and realize that, we might not have been there or there's a better way to get there. At our high school. Did anybody have any questions about that or, make the recommendation to approve the curriculum?
Mr. President, I make a motion to approve the purchase of class curriculum textbooks for AP calculus, chemistry, and physics.
Second.
Thank you, Jolene and Deb.
Thank you,
Yes,
guys.
the credit for that one. All in favor?
Yep.
Six,
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks, Scott.
Fellowship of Christian Athletes, FCA, at Wamego Middle School as a non-school sponsored student club.
So this would mirror what we have at the high school. They don't meet during the school day. It's student driven. And the students kind of come up with what they want to talk about. The sponsor is there as a sponsor. So you have a person, you have to have an adult there.
That's paid.
Nope, not by us.
FCA is not paid as a sponsor, like,
Correct.
okay, all right.
Yep.
Okay.
Great question. So there's advisory, but they're not paid and it doesn't meet during school day. So it's not really anything different than what we offer some of the other groups that meet outside of the school day, whether they be school groups or not.
I think it's great.
Yeah, I think it's great.
Is there a pretty big need at the middle school? I mean, there obviously is to bring it up to our attention.
So this
Or-
was something, I think the high school is kind of I'm gonna say this and I hope it sounds. Drive down what they have in high school and involve the younger kids in that type of program.
What's the population look like at the high school participating in SCA? Ballpark.
To answer both of those, so yes, our high school students last year started creating that concept idea of driving down. Ironically, at the middle school, there was a group of students wanting to drive up, kind of do it as well. So it kind of worked itself out. Year to year it varies. We have really good attendance. I would say on average, every Friday, in the fall, we are 40 students plus. Winter, right around that, 30 to 40, depending on the Friday. Spring, it varies, so anywhere from 20 to 40 plus. Some instances they had 70 kids.
Oh, wow.
That's why the library's full.
And that's at 7 in the morning, correct, on Friday, 7:30?
7:15 to 7:45 on Friday morning.
Good deal.
Exciting.
Maybe that's, without that, I think it's impressive.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah.
Any issues, questions to approve the FCA at the middle school?
No.
Okay,
Mr. President, I make a motion to approve the Fellowship of Christian Athletes at Flamingo Middle School as a non-school sponsored student club.
Second.
Brian and Jolene, thank you. All in favor? Bruce? She's still on.
His video is not on. Here.
Yeah.
Nope,
Are
there
you good? All right.
So
6-0 for the FCA. Thank you, Bruce.
Yep.
The distribution of the ARP fund to special co-op.
Yeah, and we set something out on that, kind of show the distribution, that is, these are funds that we either spend or give back to the federal government, and we would really provide that to our staff. And so you saw the distribution of that.
And they came up with the way they wanted it split, right? That was them that made that.
We did as a co-op leadership, but we wanted to make sure we involved everybody in that process. So,
Mr. President, I make a motion to approve the distribution of the remaining American Rescue Plan funds for the special education co-op as presented.
Second.
Thanks, Jolene and Shay. All in favor?
Yep.
6-0. Okay. It's up to you.
okay, well, this is where I was gonna show, the updated cap outlay plan on the overhead, but you have it in your emails.
Right.
So, and you can get on there and play around in there. If you remember, you wanna read kind of the top that has remaining funds.
Yeah.
And so, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. You can't mess it up. Cannot mess it up. And I say that chuckling, Kayla did a whole bunch of work and I messed it up on her.
I think I walked out of the
Not that one. It was something different. It was actually way more important than this thing that I
Did you
have.
mess something up too?
No, I just walked in to
Yeah.
agenda meeting and he was like, she hadn't hurt me yet.
She's kind of scary. I'd be careful.
She's good, but yeah, so anyway, this you can't mess up. So you could throw numbers in a place and what do we still have left? In my opinion, these are the reasons why we make a decision about, do we have 8 mils in cap outlay? Do we have 7 mils in cap outlay? And how much do we ask our taxpayers to pay? You can see I already put in the, for this coming school year, so 24-25, the redo of the safe and secure entrances, so I put them in, which was a little bit different. We did not have them anywhere in the plan, we put them in for this next year. We didn't really take anything out, but we did a little better on our roof than we thought we were going to, and so we were able to move some of that stuff around. Technology came in a little bit under what we had budgeted for, so that helped out a little bit. We didn't have as many emergency rainy day problems or concerns as we had budgeted for, so that helps out a little bit. So, we're still gonna budget for that. We also were able to take all personnel out of cap outlay, and, which is always the goal. We put it in there just in case, but we try to pull out as much of it as we can, so, at the very end. So, take a look at that. Between now and Monday, ask me questions if you have them. Remember, there's tabs in the bottom. So click on the tab and that goes to the different sections, and we're out, I think, 5 years still. We try to update and we'll be working on year 6 as we come across. And then we make changes as we deem them important. Bus 2 was on for replacement, not this year, but the next year. So it's still on there for replacement in that year, but we're just gonna have to sub for it a little bit before we get to that replacement time. Any questions? All right, I'll keep moving. Mill rates. And, this is where we had to put it on July 15th. And as I said in the email, Kayla and I know a lot more about this now on August, what did I say, the 9th? No, the 12th, August 12th, than we did on July 15th. The thing about July 15th was you can't go above. And so we know we can't go above that number. We did have to move some things around after our conversation at the State Department, because our numbers told us we could be here, and really, we want to do the best we can with LOB and do what the board said, which was 32%, not 33, but 32%. We had to change things around a little bit in bond and interest. But still, our number's not any higher than what the high point of what we said. I would imagine you probably got some questions or concerns, because in my mailbox on Saturday, I opened up and had all the tax stuff in there. So
Yeah.
if you haven't, you probably will. You know, there are adjustments that can be made. Just know that we pull things out of the list of expenditures, and we can't take away any of the mandatory stuff. So out of LOB, that's, I keep saying LOB, Gen Fund, we can't touch it. That's all based on the number of kids that walk through our doors. LOB, bond and interest, and cap outlay are based on, how much mill rates or what taxes we ask our folks to share, and how much the state supplements those two categories. If you remember right, they supplement at about 55% LOB, and they supplement capital outlay at about 55%. There's some unique twists to that. This is the last year we get any supplementation for bond and interest. I could go into a whole long sermon on that. You don't want to hear it. It has to do with politics, but it's the last year. So we have tried the last 3 or 4 years to put us at a rate where if we don't want to see this next year, where we just pop that up, really hit our taxpayers hard. So we kind of slid this up just a little bit. We hope there's enough carryover where we don't have to, again, see a big jump, but you are going to see a little bit of an increase, or if we don't do that now, we are going to pop them next year where we'll have to. And we prefer not to do that. LOB, the mandatory transfers, we have to transfer a certain amount to special ed out of LOB. We have to transfer a certain amount of to at-risk out of LOB. Can't get around it. So even if we short that all the way down to 30%, we still have to transfer that amount, which then limits our fuel costs, that comes out of there. LOB, we do have some instructional salaries and stuff in there, but it's where a good chunk of our other stuff to help us operate what we do sits in there. So, some people ask, why did it jump so much? Something to remember, the CPI, which is that consumer price index, we get a 3-year average, that's how they give us our money. And that was a little over 5%. And our assessed valuation went up about 3.5%. If we would have gone up a little over 5, we probably could have stayed right even. But basically, when they give us more money and we don't rise at the same rate, then when you work with your division, you're gonna end up being taxed a little bit more to meet that difference. And that's, again, I could get into the weeds because you know I love my numbers, but that's one of the things that we have to be careful with. CPI, or not CPI, LOB, we figured it at 32%, not 33%. And there is, we can't go to 33 now because we are at the very top of where we can be, but would not be my recommendation to go lower than that, just because of the costs that are associated with that. So, I'm gonna make sure I hit all of my. I think that was my list there. What questions do you guys have about that?
Right now, just waiting to see what feedback we'll get, after the letter started hitting people's mail, so. But so far I haven't had any feedback, so.
I haven't either.
No.
I'm assuming that this is a typo, but I got a invite for the revenue neutral rate hearing for September 11th, which is a Wednesday. But it was from Catherine, so
I've been last year.
I don't know if she fat fingered it or whatever, but, it's kind of going into your 15.4. We are doing that
They have the
hearing.
dates.
Yeah,
Yeah, this was 9/11 of 24. In your,
It says
oh,
9/11.
no,
no,
sorry, I'll check in that report that you got,
Have the dates.
it had a date right on there.
I'm just trying to remember.
We did use
Okay.
6:45 PM as that R&R hearing.
Right.
To my knowledge, it's
yeah.
Like
I
just recently?
No, it popped in my phone. I mean, I don't know when it was.
it's supposed to be September 9th. We can do it on September 11th.
Oh, that's why it should says repeats yearly.
Oh, yeah, okay, that makes me feel better.
You go ahead.
I think it's September 9th at 6:45. So. And last year we did have someone speak at that R&R hearing. That's open to, and I do think doing it 6:45. Last year we did it 7:05 and then 7:15. I like 6:45 a little bit better. I know we have to start a little earlier, but it does give us a window if we do have some speakers come in. So then you have to open that, and we'll get all the details right, but open and vote, roll call vote, close. And then you go on and it has to be on time. So if we do the budget meeting at 7:05, open, do your budget. I don't think that has to be a roll call vote, but we have to have a specific, very specific motion to make sure that we have included the building needs assessment as part of that. So,
And that should be the two things that we're voting on next Monday.
no. So next Monday is simply the vote to, and we will have a pretty final budget to you. We're just voting to set the budget hearing date.
Oh,
Yep, it's just to set, yeah. So we've already set the R&R hearing date. That's just to set the budget hearing date. Then Kato gets it put in the paper and we then submit the budget. They probably won't take it all, but they'll take that last form. And that gets sent to the newspaper and they publish that for us. So that's what we have to approve.
So much less confusing if we did budgets like we do at my house.
When your wife doing it for you.
You're saying there's no voting?
Look, this is how much money we got. All right,
They,
sorry for offering, derailing you there.
no, you're good, that's, yeah, there, and you know, they. At times it feels like they're trying to trip you up, make mistakes, and then you're back to R&R. But we'll make sure we get that right. So we'll do that right before the facilities tour.
Yeah, I think I pulled you off. Do you want to talk the 15, 2, and 3?
15, 2, and 3.
Out of district student enrollment.
Oh, yeah.
I skipped you down
Yeah.
to 15.4.
Oh, yeah, sorry, 30, we've had so far, got 36 applications to be out of district students. The last 4 were part-time, and so I checked, we didn't even account for that, but everything says that we don't, 1, they didn't apply by the date, which we've accepted several after, but 2, out of district we can say they have to be full-time. So we're not gonna do part-time. We have 2 that we're still working through. At high school, they just applied this week, and so we're about last week. Of the 30 that we've gone through the process, 28 are in. 2 had some concerns that we really felt like they wasn't their best opportunity for success here. And so we decided for the reasons that we have.
Were these students, like, were they sprinkled out throughout all the buildings or? Yeah, you didn't see, like, most of them going to one central building?
I can give you the exact numbers. Kindergarten was by far our biggest group. There were 9 kindergarten kids. And then, so there was 10 at Central, 3 at West. West was where we had the littlest amount of room. 6 at the middle school, and so far, 10 have applied at the high school. That's where 2 of our.
You said 10 at Central?
But all 9 of them are in the kindergarten,
Oh, okay.
which is not uncommon, because that's the first time we made any out of district apply. We did not make the returning out of district kids apply.
Okay.
So if we
Yeah,
make a
they're-
returning, I think our number's over 100 kids
Okay.
that live out of district.
Oh, wow.
I know there was quite a few parents that said that they were going to, have their kids go here from Alma.
We've had a few.
Yeah.
We've had a few. And you always have some good conversation. Of course, these people that are talking to me aren't the ones that are, I mean, they're all saying, oh, well, maybe it was the best thing since sliced bread, because they want to be in. But I am hearing more. I was at the hospital today. A lady that I was working with said, now, you take out a district student, because we live over close to Manhattan, but we want our kids to come here to school. We've heard a lot of good things about what we do.
Okay.
So that comes from our building folks, but we want that to not just be heard, we want it to be true, which we think it is, but we gotta continue to build on that, so.
So and I just want to bring this up so you can you can say it. We talked about it at the agenda review meeting. So all the out of district or non-resident student enrollments, we did not turn anyone away because we had met capacity of what we originally talked about.
Yeah.
So any student that was turned away, it wasn't a capacity yet. But I remember you just said we had 9 in kindergarten. Originally, we said we were gonna take 5. So we made some room, or other enrollment was less than what we were anticipating.
A little both,
Yeah.
a little both. You can take more,
Right.
but you better take all.
Right.
Unless they don't meet
Right.
the other standards that you have. So Mr. Neal didn't turn anyone away in kindergarten, so he's fine. Yeah,
Yeah, I would like to see, not now, but as we get our enrollment numbers and everything, kind of go back to this and see where we were at with what we thought. I think it's gonna be a little bit easier in this middle section.
Oh, yeah.
Kindergarten, it's kind of a crapshoot, right? of how-
Kindergarten and ninth grade are your two, yeah, sometimes sixth grade, but those are two big years for transfers. And what the hell, walkie talks, so, and two of you won't know what these are, but I think everybody else will. Three, I don't know if you've done a walkie talk yet, so I'm gonna try and do one per semester with each of you, so be thinking of an opportunity. Sometimes it's just get in the car and drive around and point some things out, sometimes it's walk through school, sometimes go into classrooms. When we do that, I try to give the teachers a heads up, or the buildings that we're gonna be in a heads up, so that we're not surprising anybody. But, individual board member, myself, and we just kind of cruise around and hour and a half, 2 hours and show you some things, look at some things and talk through some things. So, and I'll probably reach out to you individually and say, give me some times, some dates that work for you, get it on the calendar. It's a great time for me, and I think if you've done it in the past, you've enjoyed. I know one person over there just loved being in the classroom with
Yep.
kids, so.
It was great.
That is the best part of what we do is being in classrooms, and if you haven't had a chance to see that, I think you'll appreciate it. And enjoy it, and it reminds us of why we spend these nights on a Monday night here. Very good. Did I get through everything?
I think you did.
Okay.
All right, didn't have anybody from open forum, so kind of some things that we want to talk about, 16.2, I'm guilty of this. But we need to, pull the trigger on who's gonna be able to go, so please have conversation, shoot an email.
I have three. Bruce, as online is going.
I'm going.
These two are going.
Okay, I'm going, but I'm gonna be not down there the whole time, so I'll get with you afterwards.
And I'm gonna
Yeah.
make a concerted effort to see if I can use
Yeah,
like
it's-
volunteer time or something to get down.
Yeah, we just wanna make sure that we haven't hit the deadline, but if we could throw something at the wall by, the end of the month. It's a November deal. I think, we'll have time, but if you are able to go, we do wanna close that loop out, so the front office is not in speculation. I kind of talked this earlier, with Scott a little bit, but I think I would really like to see, again, the cost per student, whatever it is, to start getting some of that curriculum into the hands of a non-USD 320 person. And is it legal? Can we do that? Can we provide it to them? Because I think our biggest problem with pre-K is going to be the facilities. And so if we can help us out by having kids that, understand some of the stuff that they're coming into, because there's really good preschools out there that would probably love to have the curriculum, and there's some where kids I am going to preschool and I sit in the corner and color all day by myself or whatever. I think that is a way to help start. So coming into kindergarten is not such a shock for our kids. If they kind of understand a little bit of that regiment that goes along with it, I think that would be helpful. What can we do? Again, does WTA need to be involved? Can we get some kindergarten teachers in? During PLC time, can we coordinate with local, preschool run things to get them in and start building that partnership to see what we can do and how we can get out, because I think that might be a quicker short-term answer until we get the facilities, because I think that's gonna be the tough part there. And then, and again, if anybody else had anything, this is our time, but I didn't know what you guys thought about that curriculum. Or the pre-K part of it. Scott kind of hit the nail on the head, but did you guys have anything else you wanted to talk on that?
This has been years now, when some of this first kicked off, not every preschool outside of the data provider in this town was excited
Right.
about competition. So I don't know if anybody's tested the waters but there were some that were not. They weren't cheery. Right.
I don't even feel like at this point it's competition. I
Correct.
think it's just a need.
No, and that's where I stand. I'm just saying, I don't know if any of these discussions have been had. I'm just sharing previous, and hopefully that's not, because there was a need at that time and we all went in thinking there was a need and we were surprised to find out there were some people that were like, we don't want this to happen.
And I mean, I think, there are, I would say a majority of the daycare providers that are in the local area, that might be their job, their source of income.
Mhm.
And I think that's the hesitation. But at the same time, I think that we can foster a better relationship if we say, hey, look, we're not trying to take any kids out of here, but it would really be great if you use this curriculum or whatever it
I
is
agree.
to help us out to make that transition on the kid.
Yeah.
Which I'm sure us and them are concerned about, but if we can make that transition smoother,
Yeah.
then there might be a little bit more buy-in maybe, because I think, again, I wasn't here. I know there was concerns, but I think it was kind of, places that, hey, we're gonna do this and all you guys are gonna be out of jobs.
Yeah.
And so if we can come out at a different route, I think that might be beneficial.
Yeah.
Because again, I think the facilities is gonna be tough.
Yeah, I agree.
Long-term capital improvement subcommittee.
So, if you notice the big sign on the wall there, that is our strategic plan, and bottom right-hand side is facilities and resource, and we really have that short-term 5-year cap outlay plan, but we also have, what do we want our buildings, our facilities, our resource to look like in 5 years, in 10 years, in 25 years, and 30 years and beyond. And so I really think that needs, more than just my eyes and ears on it. And probably, we have subcommittees for other purposes that the board serves on. I would like to develop a subcommittee for this specifically as well. I think that's gonna be a point of emphasis for me and then for us as well this school year. So I guess I'm looking for people that would love to be a part of that. Can't be more than 3. But if that's something that interests you, let me know, because I have some ideas on where we might start. But right now, it's just kind of listening and trying to figure out, how do we even begin this process of beginning the process of planning? For that, we haven't started that really, my knowledge at all.
Mhm.
Bits and pieces, but do we put together a comprehensive plan?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's gonna drive into, that committee is making recommendations to the whole entire board. With, the next, I'm drawing a blank, the next,
I'm not with you, I help you.
no, asking for, the bond issue.
Oh,
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That's gonna be the committee. What do you envision? So you, couple board members, I mean, at what level, I'm guessing different representation from each of the buildings? What are you looking this committee looks
So
like?
the first thing is, so stupid, is how do we envision this going? Do we envision, if we're gonna spend a lot of money, then there's CMER, there's build your own, there's hire people from out, how do you kind of look and how do you? And then once you've kind of established, this is where we think maybe the best way to go, then it's, okay, how then do we develop our plan of attack to know what is needed at the high school? And is it a high school, what is needed at Central Elementary, and is it a Central Element, and what do our buildings look like in 30 years, 40 years? Because the crazy thing is not crazy. If you add on to the high school again, you're still in a 1938 building with some add-ons. Right? We added in Central and it's a 1960 building with some really nice add-ons, but it is, at some point, the 38 model maybe doesn't stand the test of time, and when is that? And I don't have those answers, but we need to have people that are really good at asking those questions. And what does that look like in our community, and how does that involve me? And I could tell you how to teach math, because I was trained in those areas. I am not trained in this, and so I'm gonna need a little more support. And whether that be from people on the board that are trained in those areas, or people that are trained in those areas.
Yeah, I'm on board. I would love to be a part of it. I would just, so one of the things that really didn't happen, or maybe wasn't transparent with the subcommittees in the last couple of years, was just kind of hit or miss on who was on what. Probably if you could just do a printout for me to keep in here of who's where. I would like, when it comes to committees and board, number one, I thank you for everything you do, because you're doing all this other stuff and not getting paid for it for your time. I appreciate what you do to it, but I would ask that we just make sure that with our voting cycles, we don't load it all to one side. Like it wouldn't be a good look if me, Cheryl, and Jolene were all on the same subcommittee and nobody else. If we could get, kind of keep that in mind. But yeah, I think we can come up with it and get back and kind of, see who has some interest in that. I think it would be good. Yeah, just send me that and then we can plug it in and go from there. But let me and Mr. McKim know if you got interest in being on that. And then, probably again, I mean, depending on what your recommendation is, I think with you and Scott, do we need to look at something for the preschool / daycare committee?
Oh, yeah, maybe, yeah, yep, I didn't think of it that way, but yeah, if there are some folks that would be,
So let me know, shoot me a text or an email or whatever, and then, we can kind of communicate that and I'll get this out, but we ask a lot of you and I appreciate, but I'm gonna try and get every inch I can out of it. So,
as mine.
um,
I'm gonna go back to mine, I didn't talk about board facilities tour.
oh yeah, go ahead.
We'll start at 7. That's next Monday.
Yeah.
We'll pass the hearing and answer any questions you might have with that, or whether that be for, cap outlay, if you have a question there. And then we'll hop on the bus. And is there anything specifically that you want to see? I have some ideas, but anything specifically that you want to see on the tour?
I mean, I think it's worked out pretty well. We went up last year, I think we went over to the sports complex and the kitchen and then hit every single school. And then just kind of turned it over to the admin team that was there to kind of go through.
I thought we'd see the boilers at West. Not that that's gonna be real exciting, but it was a lot of money.
I like boilers.
Yeah. Some of us might find it more exciting than others.
But I would probably, I think that if I was an administrator, this would be a great time to air my dirty laundry to the board. I mean, realistically, that's honestly what I would do, because when you guys start, I mean, it wasn't, he's not here to represent himself, but, I'm pretty sure one of our facility tours, we went and walked up and down, bleachers at the middle school. And then all of a sudden we got new bleachers at the middle school. So that's how I would play it if I was an administrator anyway. air your dirty laundry and something might get fixed a little bit quicker than what's on the strategic plan outlay, but.
You say squeaky wheel gets the grease?
Well, Brad's connivingly, quiet conniver, I think is what I would
That's
call
right.
it.
That's
But
right.
yeah, he was smart to put us all in the bleachers, I think.
But no, I would say,
Those
you
things
know,
needed to be done.
or great and wonderful things that, you know, you wanna show off or whatever, but I'm, it's completely, I think it's a great opportunity to, show off, the buildings and the facilities that we have for better or for really, really good reasons or really, really bad reasons. It's something that's not getting addressed.
So we'll see like the sports complex, the
Mhm.
The
bus
district
compound,
kitchen, yep. And then we'll hop on a bus and typically, Mr. McKim just turns us over to whoever's gonna be there. It's gonna be it's at the beginning of the school year, so everybody's gonna be busy. But yeah, we'll get a quick tour and then, you know, keep it, I mean, realistically, as close to that 2 hours that we can. It'll be a true meeting. We'll all be together. But we really, minus just coming here first thing, to vote, then it's not recorded. There's no notes, there's no nothing.
No action
Right, there's no actions.
during the tour.
Right, there won't be any, unless something crazy were to happen, there wouldn't be an executive session afterwards. So.
Sorry about that.
No, that's good. Is there anything else on board business?
Nope.
Anybody got anything? Bruce, you got anything? Silence is consent, all right?
No,
Yeah,
I don't.
okay. All right, Bruce, we're gonna take how much time do you need?
First one probably 5 to 7 minutes. Okay. Second one might take a little longer. I would say 15 on that.
Okay. So let's do a break until 8:30, and then Bruce, I will just call you so you can be with us in executive session. We got 2 rounds of it, okay?
Okay.
All right, thanks.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, can I get a, motion for executive session?
Yes, sir.
Well, I think NFL 8.
Oh,
No.
40, 8:40.
Mr. President, I make a motion to go into executive session to discuss an employee compensation using the non-elected personnel exception under KOMA to invite the superintendent and special education director, Eric Thomas, into executive session and to resume the opening meeting in the boardroom at 8:40.
Second,
All in favor?
Bruce is not on.
5-0, that's fine. 5-0, yeah. That's not on time. It's done. Yeah, I must have got to talking. Yeah, it's so early.
Yeah, don't say. that.
Really?
Figure out.
one will be the, performance inviting Julie and Scott
Until
in,
8:55.
and we'll do 8:55. Yeah, Julie and Scott.
Mr. President, I make a motion to go into executive session to discuss an employee performance using the non-elected personnel exception under KOMA to invite the superintendent, assistant superintendent, and high school principal Julie Schrum into executive session and to resume the open meeting in the boardroom at 8:55 PM.
Second.
All in favor? 5-0 on that one. Jolene and Jake.
Keep driving. See you guys. Good.
we're, like basically super special, incredible, infrastructure personnel.
Oh, yeah.
So let them buy all the roadblocks and everything, like, so now they're like, yeah, you're working.
Next to the cars.
How much?
You're so bruised on why, I see.
Yeah. No, he hung up. We can, are you live now? We can I'll take a motion to adjourn us.
Mr. President, I make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Second. Jolene.
Second.
Ryan.
I can't be out.
All in favor? 5-0.
Hey, Lee, you're fired.
Is that one off? Like,
You didn't do my.
He can't,
I
he
can't.
can't make a motion without the motion.
That's what I didn't do, because my guys, I don't know what to say. Have a great.
You guys, I
Oh.
will not fail you
Can't
next
take
time.
any chances.